tricksters, back to another top 5 with tricks. Today we're going to cover the game genre that strikes fear in the heart of the most hardened gamer. Horror. I have to say, as a live streamer, horror games are some of the community's favorite games to watch. At an unknown time, you see your favorite streamer have to change their underwear, it's just priceless. From psychological storytelling to jump scares, the following 5 games knock this genre out of the park. As usual, I won't be asking you to like the video or sub to the channel and turn on all your notifications because, you know we don't do that here. Resident Evil 7 hit the market in 2017 and was developed by Capcom. Previous 2 games in the series had leaned into more of an action-style gameplay, but this iteration went back to the game's survival horror roots. Focusing on exploration and problem-solving, the game brings back the suspense and feeling of panic that the earlier games in the franchise were able to create. The game follows the main character as he tries to find his girlfriend that he has tracked down to a remote cabin in the woods. The entire game takes place in this small confined area, but the storytelling and puzzles involved to move around the area make really good use of the size and really create that trapped feeling. Combat in the game is difficult but rewarding. There are some firearms, but the major lack of ammo in the game means you must make every shot count. Those brave enough to experience this game in VR, they'll reach another level of intensity. The game plays in first person and was so a natural choice to adapt to a VR setup. The visuals and sounds that the devs used in the game make full use of the immersive nature of virtual reality. Multiple DLCs have been released and directly tie in with the story from Biohazard. If you enjoyed the story, then they're well worth your time and money to delve into. For many gamers, Resident Evil was their entry-level game into the survival horror genre. This game brought many back to their roots, and if you haven't tried it already, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Outlast was developed by Red Barrels and released back in 2013. Although there has been an Outlast 2, it is well accepted that the original stands as the best of the two. The game takes place in the confines of a psychiatric hospital, and the setting could not be better for the tone of this horror game. The game has no combat, and the entirety of the journey of your character is based on stealth, hiding, and running. The fear of knowing that you cannot actually fight back if you're discovered keeps you on the edge of your seat at all times. Every noise could mean almost instant death if you're not making the right decisions. The standout feature of the game is the camcorder that your character is holding. Before cell phones, investigative reporters would have to carry one of these around to record anything of use. This camcorder luckily has night vision. This creates some of the most intense experiences in the game. Many areas in the hospital have zero light, and the only way to see is using the small screen on the camera in night vision mode. This uses batteries, and so you have to use these sparingly as batteries are hard to find and not in plentiful supply. The story unfolds as you work your way through the hospital, and the goal becomes not only to escape, but to figure out exactly what happened there for everything to end up the way it has in this apparent place of healing. The game is almost 10 years old, but the graphics, gameplay, and storytelling still hold up to many of today's horror releases. You can find this game for about $20, and if it was more, it would still be worth picking up this title for your collection. Soma was released in 2015 by Frictional Games and was met with positive reviews. The developers kept with the style of the previous games with using stealth, evasion, and problem solving instead of an action-based system. The unique setting of this game puts you underwater for the entirety of your progression throughout this mind-twisting story. For the horror aspect, the devs used the story, mainly dealing with the human consciousness, to toy with the player's thoughts and emotions. Images and sounds created from more of a shock factor than a gore or jump scare make this experience more unique than most horror games on the market. They play with the thought of what makes us, well, us. Our mind, soul, body. It opens up a can of worms that has your mind turning over on top of itself. The game is a few years old now, but the graphics, story, and unique nature of the game keeps this one at the top of the must-tries for any horror fan. The game costs around $30, and if you love great unique story, then stick this one on your wish list. Visceral Games released Dead Space in 2008, and since then has become a benchmark for sci-fi horror games. Any game that is remotely horror themed and in space is immediately compared to this absolute gem. The story follows Isaac Clarke, an engineer who is sent up to help with repairs on a huge mining ship, the Ishimura. As the story unfolds, the player is given clues to uncover the source of and reason for the demise of the Ishimura. Dead Space uses suspense and well-placed sound effects to enhance the horror experience. Devs also integrated a combat system that is in theme with the fact that Isaac is an engineer and not a soldier or a trained military professional. All the weapons and armor is built on his engineer's suit and mining engineering tools that have been cleverly converted to aid him throughout this necromorph-infested spaceship. Monsters in the game, called necromorphs, were created by the devs by researching car crashes and other incidents with mutilated body parts to create these eerie creatures. They look twisted, but they have such a feeling of similarity to something we also might actually see that it makes these things even more terrifying. Dead Space is also in the process of being remade and set to release sometime in early 2023. The devs promised little changes to the game itself, but an upgrade in graphics and small tweaks that will only update the experience and evolve it and not take away from it. OG Dead Space will cost you about $25, but it might be worth waiting for the remaster, which will be $80. Either way, if you haven't played this one, then you owe it to yourself to jump in when you can. Phasmophobia was released by Kinetic Games late 2020 and became a hit almost immediately due to its unique style. Unlike the rest of the games on this list, the game is not a story mode or combat-based game. You're part of a ghost removal team sent in to find and confirm what type of ghost is haunting a specific location. You pick a location which ranges from small houses to a large asylum, and you spawn in whatever equipment you pre-selected for the mission. The goal is to use many different types of ghost hunting equipment, much like you would see in any ghost hunting TV show, to find 3 pieces of evidence to confirm what type of ghost is there. This may sound simple, but with the variable difficulty settings, lighting, and haunting sounds used, it's very much a challenge. A major part of this game that takes enjoyment to another level is the fact that you can play with friends. You can group up and help each other in a mission, or take that opportunity to scare your buds at every turn. The ghost can go into hunt mode during the mission, and this is when the intensity kicks up another notch. The location gets put in a lockdown, and you must find a hiding spot and not make any noise. The game uses proximity chat, so if you're screaming or yelling, the ghost will hear you. The game has been receiving consistent updates, changes, and new locations, and more. The game will only cost you about $15, so do yourself a favor and skip that no foam oat milk extra shot of vanilla latte and pick this one up. So there we go. Turn off the lights, close the curtains, keep your clean underwear nearby if you do try out any of our top 5 this week. If you feel like there should have been a few different games on the list, throw it in the comments below and I'll check them out. If you haven't already, now will be an amazing time to check out our top 5 open world games. Until next time, stay classy, tricksters.